Kia ora, my name is Zeddy. For this short presentation, we're just going to talk through the power of the REC cap and specifically using recovery capital in our services and why we've been finding this so useful. We found that using the REC cap tool and recovery capital concepts is a really good universal starting point to recovery for people across many different ethnicities. I'm going to talk to this a little bit more in a short while. Second to that, we find that this is a really good conversation starter. So the evaluation tool itself has quite a few different sections. So there's various different areas of positive recovery capital that it measures and negative recovery capital. And there's a specific area in particular where there's about 50 statement questions. And these statement questions they measure personal and social recovery capital. And the idea is that you would tick the statement if you agree with it, and you would leave it blank if you don't agree with it. And I've had various kaimahi over the years come to me and tell me examples of when they found that they read out a particular statement and whai ora have then opened up about a particular area of their life that they feel like they wouldn't necessarily have delved into otherwise. So in that sense, it's a really good conversation starter. We also find that the tool is very much a one-to-one evaluation. So it really focuses on what's going on for that person at that time in moment. And we find that it's a very engaging one-to-one evaluation. So a particular example that always I think fondly of is I was based in the Tuarua services and we were using the REC cap initially as part of a pilot program to do some research to work out whether or not we thought it would be a useful tool as part of our processes. And there was a particular resident at the time who wasn't very keen on doing the evaluation because they felt like it would be too hard to sit down for a length of time to work through it. And I managed to convince them otherwise just to give it a go because they had nothing to lose. And after about an hour and a half, I turned around to this person and said, look, we've been doing this for quite some time. We're going to have to think about wrapping it up. And they turned around and said to me, I can't believe we've been doing this for an hour and a half. That was so interesting. To which I responded saying, of course it was interesting. It was all about you. And finally, this tool and concept is very much supported by a very robust body of research. This tool has been developed by Professor David Best, who has led on a wealth of research in the UK, Australia, in America. The tool is now used in Canada and we've been using it here in New Zealand. There's over 20,000 completed REC caps to date and more as we speak. And there are a number of publications that have been produced as a result of this. And we have some links on our website to those if you're interested in reading more about it. We found that this tool and concept is a good starting point to recovery for people across various different ethnicities. So we came to this conclusion as a result of some focus groups that we ran here at Odyssey. There were 4 groups in particular, and these were split by ethnicity. We had a group for Māori participants, Pacifica participants, New Zealand European, and others. In each group, we had representation from lived experience, and the requirements to participate were that people had direct or indirect experience of recovery, addiction recovery. All of the groups found that there were no areas of the model or evaluation that weren't applicable to their experience, whether it was direct or indirect, of recovery. However, all of the groups agree that there were key elements from this model that were missing, and they were all around culture. So this particular model views culture as part of community recovery capital, but here in New Zealand and at Odyssey, culture is far bigger than that. All the participants refer to culture as something that exists within personal recovery capital, social recovery capital, community recovery capital, and in fact it felt like a much bigger entity than just being an additional category on the model. The culture was very much a key aspect for a person's recovery journey, and it was something that was intertwined through all areas. And another key finding from the focus groups, one of many, was that it was also important for people to have somebody who was working with them and who could introduce the model and the tool to them that they could relate to in terms of their own culture or ethnicity. And this would mean that it would not only be easier to engage with that person, but also if areas need to be explained in a certain way that could resonate more with them, it was felt, particularly by our Pacifica Māori and even our other group, that having somebody who you could connect with on that level would make that process far more engaging and easier.